Well, I definitely had any crisis of conscience the last couple of years. Definitely teaching kids how to seek truth, find their own truth, tell their stories is vitally important for our democracy today. And also, I've just noticed at the state of the world that kids are interested in very serious topics, and they're interested in telling their stories. And if they don't like the stories different media outlets are telling about them or portraying, I think it's great advice to tell your own story and get out there and get involved with the issues that they care about and have student voice be heard. And like we saw last year with the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas students and so many others, that people are starting to listen to teenagers and their perspective on things, which I think can be really powerful. So I think, obviously last year covering the whole student voice movement with the protests around gun violence and other things in schools got national attention. They were being interviewed by New York Times reporters and the Washington Post and all of that, which was really powerful. And I think what they learned from that is that actually interviewing high school kids, they say amazingly intelligent things and have a great perspective that hadn't really been caught by the national media before. The other thing that I think is really cool that we do is localize. Like when Ferguson happens in St. Louis, a lot of my students will be like, hey, I want to go cover Ferguson or whatever. We're like, oh no, we're not going to St. Louis. And there's already 50 reporters doing that, but what's the issue around Ferguson that we could localize here at City High? And we're like, all right, racial profiling. I'm like, all right, go interview students at City High and ask them if they've been racially profiled. And oh my God, did they have amazing stories to tell about being racially profiled, and bringing those stories to life was really powerful and made a difference. And I'm telling you that superintendents and school boards and policymakers in our town, they want to hear what these kids have to say, and I do believe it makes a difference. So about 2 years ago, actually, the Gazette called me and a few other people, and they're like, hey, what are you guys doing about teaching, media literacy and truth and the fake news and all that stuff? And honestly, at that time, I was like, let me get back to you. I'm not sure exactly where we stand. I definitely hadn't had a whole lot of training or education in media literacy or whatnot, but it's been a great last 2 years kind of looking into it. And the great news is, from Newseum to the media literacy associations, there are amazing resources out there. And I've actually got to go around the country and speak on this a little bit, and my big message is that this is a great opportunity for us to train truth seekers. The best way, I think, is to actually teach them how to be a good journalist, and that'll allow them kind of how the sausage is made, and and it's an enlightening process for them to kind of see that. And a lot of teachers are afraid to jump into the news cycles and everything right now. And the biggest thing that I tell them is that, I'm not telling you where to get your news. You can read as much conservative sites as you want, or as much liberal sites as you want. I think the key too is that you just need to know you're reading a biased site, because there's a lot of biased sites out there online. And one of the best sites is allsides.com. You can check in with them and they'll say, oh, this is a right-wing site, this is a left-wing site, so that being aware of what you're reading is important. And hopefully they get a variety of sources. And actually, like, Google News is pretty good. They've done a lot of work on it, and they'll have a variety of sources on there, and they even have Snopes and some other fact-checking things that they can check things out. And my big thing I tell teachers and other people is that Google searches and Facebook and Twitter just dumpster fires. They are being manipulated, and I think that's what we're going to realize, by political forces, by companies to have agendas. And I think that Facebook's out for the highest bidder, and they will push any idea that will give them money, pretty much. It's been an honor coming into one of the original 19 charter schools. It's definitely pressure when I first got here to be part of this great tradition of journalism that's going on here since 1926, and my mentor, Jack Kennedy. And when I graduated from the University of Iowa in teaching, I definitely thought, like, someday it would be nice to come back and teach journalism at City High. And I knew that job wouldn't be there when I was younger, but lucky enough I was here to get it. So in a way, I'm teaching my dream job here. And but it's not a lot of pressure when I do a good job recruiting and making, hopefully, it a fun atmosphere for these amazing students we have. And I think that's the key to high school journalism, is not only training them and teaching them the code of Quill and Scroll, which I think it's so important tonight. I love that they take it seriously, that pledge that they took tonight, and they will remember that. And Elena before and other people, that they do take their job as a reporter seriously, and I think part of that comes from the induction, and I highly encourage all programs to do a Quill and Scroll induction, just for that huge benefit in my mind of I see that they are part of an honor society, they're part of a tradition, they're part of something honorable, and that it does have an effect throughout the years after students make that pledge. Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing, it makes me sad that some schools and in some places they don't see how amazing a high school journalism program can be. It can be a lifeblood of a school. It can be a place where students feel empowered. I've gone, not to brag, but to every educational conference in the country over the last 3 or 4 years as JA Professional Outreach, and at every one of them the message is empower students, use technology, do something authentic. Let them actually publish. And I walk away just, I'm like, high school journalism. I mean, all the educational, Daniel Pink just sent out a tweet the other day, or everything we need to be doing in education, and it's high school journalism. And to be honest, I think it's exciting, it's fun, it's a dynamic class. And the New York Times went and looked at the most exciting new schools, or the ones that are getting the best test scores or whatever lately. They actually said most of them had really boring core classes. Like, kids were still falling asleep in English class, and they're still falling asleep in science class, but it was the electives like journalism and speech and drama where kids were alive and active. And so I guess my message would be, we need to have more Quill and Scroll Society charters and more schools that buy into the whole system of high school journalism, because for the schools that do it and do it well, it's an amazing, essential part that I know Mr. Bacon is great here of supporting, and he talked to me when he first started about, I want to have, that type of journalism program here.